Ahead of Game Week 9, I've asked my FPL experts for their top transfer recommendations, and in today's video, we're going to be going through their picks and, of course, giving you my honest reaction to them. Now, before we dive into today's video, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as we are getting ever closer to that 10,000 subscriber mark. Of course, I would like to hit it by the end of the month, and if we could do that, it would be absolutely incredible. Obviously, there's going to be a really long stream on Friday as well to hopefully get us across the line. So if you are new around here, make sure you subscribe in with bell notifications on as well, so you will be notified when I do go live. Let's, of course, first start off with two players that have been very, very highly recommended from my FPL experts for picking up this game week, especially with the news now that Bukayo Saka hasn't trained today either and probably won't be featuring in Arsenal's Champions League match on Tuesday night. It means that a lot of people are going to be looking for replacements, and obviously Son and Palmer are probably going to be the ideal two that people are going to go for. Now, I think for me personally, I'm going to say this, I think Son is the better pick for the next 3 game weeks. And the reason I think it is not only do I feel he has the better fixtures across that period, I also feel he has captaincy potential in Game Week 11. And if you look at the other fixtures around Game Week 11, as we can see here, Chelsea play Arsenal, not the greatest. Liverpool have Aston Villa at home, not the worst. It's a home fixture, so you could go for Mohamed Salah. He has been pretty consistent this season already. And Haaland has Brighton away. So ideally, again, not really the greatest fixture, but it is Erling Haaland, and maybe he could produce a moment of magic. But somebody that has a clear standout fixture at home against a team that is currently sat rock bottom for XG conceded and hasn't really delivered anything so far in the Premier League is Ipswich. And I do feel that for me is giving the Son appeal just that little bit more of an X factor for me. Obviously then for me, I would be looking to switch him out for Cole Palmer in Game Week 12 when obviously he goes on that fantastic run playing Leicester away in Game Week 12. So for me, I think for the next 3, I'll take a little bit of a short punt on Son. Like I said, for that captaincy potential in Game Week 11, I feel he will be the best captaincy option across that period. Then, of course, I would be looking to move across to Cole Palmer. Now, obviously, you are going to have to find some money to obviously make those moves, and maybe that's something that potentially you could do over the next 3 weeks as well, is build up the transfers, get some value on Son as well, because I do expect his price to rise over the next few game weeks as well, if he continues to put in decent performances. As well, Spurs have been really, really good going forward so far this season. I think they're currently sat second for non-penalty expected goals across entire Europe, all 5 leagues. It might be second, it might be third. I can't quite remember the statistic. I saw it today and I was like, wow. Okay, Spurs are absolutely cooking. Son's back as well. They're playing really well attacking football, so some great fixtures against pretty rocky defences as well in Palace and Ipswich as well. So for me, I think for the next 3, going for Son makes that little bit more sense rather than Palmer. But obviously still, Palmer, the fixtures, they're a little bit more difficult, yes, especially that Arsenal 1 in 11 isn't ideal. But still getting in on Palmer is probably going to be worthwhile doing, because a lot of us are going to be looking to make that switch in Game Week 12 anyway. And maybe if you are potentially struggling for funds to get to him, even with obviously taking transfers and building up transfers as well, then it could just be worth going early, getting your team set for that Game Week 12 period. But obviously if you're on a wild card as well, probably would say Son is going to be the better of the 2 picks. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Let me know which way you're potentially swinging in the comments section. Let's move on to some cheaper midfielders. Again, I know people are going to be potentially in the market for some cheaper midfielders over the next few weeks, and 2 standouts for the next couple of weeks are going to be Dwight McNeil and Garnacho. Obviously, as we can see, I probably would say McNeil has the better fixtures across the next 3. He is more the creative side for that Everton team, isn't he? As you can see here, the XA is pretty decent. The big chances are there, the key passes are there, but he's still getting a few shots off. Couple of long range efforts, nothing really kind of troubling XG though, so it is going to be more the assists you expect from him rather of course than the attacking returns. But somebody that has really caught my eye over the past few game weeks has been Garnacho. Now, they're playing West Ham, who defensively look very, very wobbly. The Chelsea fixture isn't ideal, but then it's Leicester at home in game week 11. Another absolutely corking fixture for the Manchester United. And in a week where, of course, Chelsea are playing Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City, as we saw, don't have the easiest fixtures as well. Getting a United attacker in there against Leicester City, again, could be one of these cheat codes and could be a way that you potentially could go and get some points. And I feel like picking up either of these guys would be a really, really smart move if you are in the market for a cheap midfielder this week. If I had to say which one I would prefer, it probably would be Garnacho. Manchester United have been really, really decent as a side so far this season in terms of the expected goal involvement. Everton were one of the lowest scoring sides in the league last year. I don't think things have changed too much. I still feel they're lacking a little bit of quality in that regard as well. And if you actually saw the Dwight McNeil assist from the weekend, it was kind of a Michael Keane rockbuster that absolutely slammed it into the roof of the net rather than some brilliant play and high quality chance that, Dwight McNeil crafted out himself. Whereas Garnacho, for me, feels like that player has got much more upside than, of course, Dwight McNeil. But again, let me know which way you're potentially going to swing on that one. Finally, finishing up, I obviously alluded to it in my transfer targets video earlier in the week. If you haven't checked that out, go and check it out. I said, should I put together a cheap strikers kind of cheat sheet or like list of everybody together? And you guys were like, yes, please do that. So some of my experts obviously have contributed towards this. I've added a few picks in there myself as well that weren't being mentioned, but a lot of them did come up from my FPL experts as well. Let's start off at the top, and I think with Strand Larsen we have to, of course, compare him to Cunha and which one is going to be the better pick over the next few weeks. Obviously, game week 9 isn't the ideal hop-on point for picking up Wolves players, but Brighton defensively have been a little bit suspect. They were very, very fortunate to come away with a clean sheet. I do feel, over the next few, their defence is definitely going to get found out because they're looking a little bit wobbly. And I think Wolves, they still look pretty decent going forward, despite obviously not picking up a Premier League win so far this season. Only 1 point to their name. However, I do feel now this good long run is coming, they are going to start to build some momentum in that because the performances haven't been woeful and they're not like sat bottom in terms of expected goals or, of course, in terms of expected goals conceded as well. Now, obviously, there's a big price difference, 1 million. And obviously, with us trying to cram, I would say most people looking to get to that free premium structure of Haaland, Salah, of course, then one of Palmer, Son, Saka when he's back fit as well, Foden, KDB. We're probably going to be all switching to a free premium structure. And maybe that extra million is going to be needed elsewhere. And the big question is, do I think Strand Larsen is worth that extra, saving of 1 million compared to Cunha? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say no. I think Cunha is the better player and is worth that extra 1 million. Purely down to the fact that with Juan He-Chan currently injured, that means he's going to be the penalty taker. There's also that slight bit more expected assists within his XGI per 90 as well. As we can see, he is actually scoring more points. He's also predicted to get more points than Strand Larsen over that period as well. And I do feel that is probably because of the penalty appeal that is just slightly lifting him above Strand Larsen. It doesn't mean that Strand Larsen isn't a bad player and somebody you shouldn't be going with, but I always like to have penalty takers. Jamie Vardy, case in point for my team this weekend, hasn't really done anything for me over the past few weeks, but has still managed to outscore, Calvert-Lewin because he got a penalty. That's all he did. He just got the penalty. So having penalties is such a big, important factor for these sides. And I do feel with Cunha having the penalties, it does make him kind of worth that extra million for me, in my personal opinion. The player that is rocking the second best expected goal involvement per 90 on this list is, of course, Pele, Danny Welbeck. The problem with him and Brighton is game week 10 and game week 11. Those fixtures are honking. Liverpool and Manchester City, two of the worst teams really that you could face as a striker. So for me, I don't think I'm going to recommend Danny Welbeck or any Brighton attackers until after game week 12, where they then again their fixtures swing, and that is probably the point that I'd be looking to go and pick him up. But he's having a great start to the season under the new management as well, and the data per 90 is also looking pretty decent. Chris Wood is yet to play. I am filming this before the Crystal Palace Nottingham Forest game. So again, we're going to have to wait and see how he gets on in that one. But the next two fixtures, definitely very appetizing. And the predicted points are also looking very juicy. The highest on this list as well with 18.1. The Fantasy Football Hub model is loving him. Obviously, if you want to go and check it out for yourself, there is a link in the description with a free 7-day trial. Liam Delap, again, I told you guys not to go for Liam Delap last week. And a lot of you were calling me stupid and all the kind of names under the sun. But as you can see here, he has the second worst expected goal involvement per 90, 0.21. The data's just not been there. He's had a few fluky chances. Ipswich as well were absolutely abysmal at the weekend. They've got Brentford away, which won't be an easy test. Leicester at home, if they've got any chance of staying up this season, need to be winning that. And then Tottenham away after that. Again, I probably wouldn't expect too much out of him. So he's a player that was recommended by a few of the experts, but for me, I'm staying way clear of Liam Delap. I think he's got fortunate with some of his goals, and I don't see many attacking returns come in over the next few weeks. Moving on to a player that has really caught my eye, it is Visser. Obviously started the season on fire, and I do feel that's probably why his expected goal involvement is higher than everybody else, because he has actually played limited 90 minutes. So his is going to look a little bit more skewed than others. I think he's only played 4 to 5 games. Everybody else on this list has probably played around 8 or 7, including some, I think it's Jimenez who's played 7. So everybody else has played roughly the similar amount of minutes. Visser obviously a lot lower, so that is going to put his expected goal involvement in a little bit of jeopardy and kind of, unvalidate him a little bit in terms of that. However, 4 goal involvements, he absolutely, like I said, started the season on fire. Ipswich at home in game week 9 is a real gem, and when him and Mbeumo are cooking together, they create some absolute tasty FPL returns as well. Obviously, Shard has not really done the business in that number 9 role, and I do feel Visser will be slotted straight back in, especially if we get a positive comment from Thomas Frank as well regarding his fitness. I am very tempted to go and get Visser in the side. Next up is going to be the 2 Everton forwards, and again, which one do we go for? I've had a few people suggesting that maybe Ndai is the one to go for, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin being a master points dodger. 1.32 expected goal involvement picked up by him at the weekend. Yeah, I really don't know how he did it. He is actually predicted to get more points over that period, and I feel for the only around 0.5 million extra that you're going to have to spend on Calvert-Lewin, it's worth going for him because, again, of that penalty appeal. Now, for me, if you're already a Calvert-Lewin owner, I would just sit on your hands for the next 3 fixtures. Fulham, Southampton and West Ham. He's creating lots of data. He's just dodging the points. Surely he has to score across this period. Surely there has to be a goal in there for some... like he's playing against some of the worst defences in the league. I don't think Fulham at home is going to be the easiest, but it is a home fixture. Again, he is a penalty taker, and that is why I'm going to keep him. And if you do have him, I am going to recommend that you keep him for the next 3. There could be a Dominic Calvert-Lewin masterclass in there. Let's hope. Let's hope for our sake anyway that it does come to that. And Ndai, for me, like I said, he doesn't have the penalties, doesn't play full 90s either, so you might as well go for Calvert-Lewin if you were looking for an Everton forward. And then finally, Raul Jimenez. Obviously, I featured him in the FPL Therapy podcast with FPL Raptor last week. Obviously delivered yet again another goal. He's in fine form, and again his expected goal involvement is cooking. It really is. It's the best on this list. He's played 7 games as well. Again, some of those haven't been full 90s. I remember at the start of the season, he was coming off the bench and delivering quite well. So his expected goal involvement per 90, again, is slightly skewed. However, the games that he's been playing so far, he has been delivering. And again, seems like he's got his confidence back. And that is so great to see from a player that a lot of us loved and owned kind of, 2018, 2019, before obviously his head injury and stuff like that. My only concern with him is I don't think Everton away is going to be as easy as some people are suggesting. Everton have now kept back-to-back clean sheets. Seems like they're getting some of their defensive players back as well. Jared Branthwaite supposedly should be back for this game as well, and I will feel that will make Everton a lot more of a stronger team, especially with it being a home fixture as well. So I would be a little bit sceptical of Raul Jimenez in this one, but I still think he could be an absolute gem of a pickup in very fine form, and arguably one of the most informed players right now within the Premier League. Let me know what you think of all the players recommended by the FPL experts today. Of course, if you've got any questions about your team as well, get them in, as we will try to answer as many as we possibly can. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in Game Week 9.